it's nothing like that. I don't know what it is. I really wish I could remember.
I didn't have anything planned for this evening just because I didn't get around to it. One of those days.
Yeah. Same.
So I kind of figured it'd be a general BS episode unless you had something specific.
Oh, I'd love a good BS episode.
Yeah, I figured it would be worth it. Getting close to the end of the season, and you guys are doing whatever it is you're doing.
What are you talking about?
Well, you guys are back on top at the moment, right? Arsenal?
Yeah.
Yeah. By what, a point?
Yeah. Again, mathematically, it doesn't, it's not looking great.
Well, if City wins out, they would take it, right? Because they have a game in hand, or
they do have a game in hand.
Okay, I was trying to remember because I know we are knocking on top four, surprisingly, but we've played a game more than I think both United and Newcastle.
I'm mistaken. I didn't look at yesterday's or Sunday's match. We did not win.
Oh,
yeah, we are 4 points behind. So I think that's it.
Yeah, City's been consistent enough. I'd be surprised.
It's still mathematically possible. We have to win our last two games. No, they have 3 games left. Sorry, mathematically impossible. No,
it's still mathematically possible.
Yeah, mathematically possible. Sorry,
but if they win one,
if they draw, their goal differential is they're 20 goals ahead.
Gotcha.
So
yeah,
even a draw. I think even a draw, it's over. But
mathematically, we qualified for the Europa League at this point.
Yeah.
And after the season we've had, that's kind of surprising.
Well, somebody made a comment about how Chelsea could be the savior because they play City next week. So next Sunday, I am a Chelsea fan for sure.
They haven't looked very good though.
Yeah, I know. They when you look at them, in their last 2 matches, they beat Bournemouth and they drew with Nottingham Forest.
I haven't paid a lot of attention to the table in general, and so as a byproduct, I've enjoyed just kind of watching sporadic games this season, and I haven't paid attention to a whole lot of them. But I doubt that you go back and watch many of the Liverpool matches. I would at least recommend watching the highlights from this most recent match against Leicester, just because Alexander Arnold's score off of a penalty, or free kick rather, and it was just another beautiful curling in goal from the spot. So
nice.
Those are just fun to see. But he had one like that. What made me think of it is he had one like that against Chelsea earlier in the season too.
I see. It's funny. Jude's been playing soccer. He's got one more match, and they had a game Sunday, and down in Alabaster, and it was their little team is doing really well. But he does, this is his first time playing since he was 4 years old. And it was a lot of fun because these kids are they're getting pretty good, and they had a pretty good passing game, but their keeper, oh my god, blocked 3 penalty kicks.
Wow.
Yeah. The problem was the keeper was the cause. They got I guess in the rec league that they play in, passing back to the keeper results in a handball if the keeper handles it.
That makes sense. I guess it's just strange to do it that early. Is that what you're getting at?
I was trying to remember if I guess that's also the case in FIFA rules and UEFA, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, I know it's a foul and considered a back pass. I couldn't remember if it was considered a handball but probably.
Yeah, because like every time so if a defender, or your own, so like if a Arsenal player passes back to their keeper, he's gotta kick the ball, right?
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm not mistaken. I was thinking, for some reason, it was allowed at some point. Maybe it was allowed to handle the ball, but obviously not. But there's a whole bunch of parents who are like, what are they? Kept asking why they kept asking, like sort of like complaining about what was going on. Well, this particular referee was kind of had some problems, but I set him straight. I was like, no, you can't pass back. If the keeper's own player passes back to him, he cannot handle the ball without a foul. So they're like, okay. Yeah, at one point, a referee called the ball went into touch, and she called it for the other team when it was supposed to be for Jude's team. And I was like, whoa, 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 whoa. And she looked at me, and she's like, I'm sorry, I pointed the wrong direction. And I was like, thank you.
And so Jacob had he had a match Saturday, and he has one more that will probably be rained out this coming Saturday for the season. But after this year, he moves into the more traditional, I guess, rec league. So this up through this year, the coaches act as the referees. And then starting next year, I think they actually have refs at the matches, if I'm not mistaken, which would be the U9 category and above.
Yeah. Will he be playing in Hoover instead?
He's been playing in Hoover anyway.
Okay.
Yeah, we registered with the Hoover Soccer Club the first time around, and so we were talking about it earlier. I'm not so sure he's that interested in playing as much as it's time for him to spend with his friends.
Cool.
And we're kind of weighing, do we try to keep this going? Because as they transition into the U9 category, they're supposed to do tryouts, and they're not necessarily supposed to be grouped as a team as consistently as they have been up to this point, because they try to spread out skill levels across teams and everything. And I know a couple of the parents are going to talk to the director and saying, look, the only reason our kids are still playing is because they've been playing with each other now for multiple seasons, and they want to continue that and see if that can still happen, staying on the recreational side. Because obviously this is also when they want to start having you pay more money and going the competitive route. And I just kind of refuse to do that at this point, unless he very explicitly tells me that's really what he wants to do. It's BS for me to worry about competitive soccer.
Yeah, I can remember being in high school and telling my parents that's what I wanted to do, and they were just like, nope. Not for the money, but like, the time. Yeah, I mean, it'd be a significant amount of time for them because they were, we were living in Aniana, and that's like an hour away from Birmingham. So
yeah,
I had one friend that did, and I really wanted to go and play. My best friend in high school, he and I played, and he got on a club team, and I really wish I could have done that too, but c'est la vie.
Yeah, we'll see what happens with the conversation with the director on the rec side, because if they don't keep them together, like my question to Emily was like, all right, well, they just want to get together and play. Why are we paying for them to play in a rec league when they're happy playing 2-on-2, 3-on-3, whatever? Let's just get them together for 6 weeks and play. Yeah, we don't have to pay a rec league for that.
No. I think I'm actually going to sign up to become a referee.
Yeah, if he continues, I would consider doing something like that as well. But I
may do it.
I don't know. At this point, I just don't know that he has the interest in the game. And part of it is because when he first started playing, he'd really kind of get in there and go after it. And then something over the past year and a half, he spends more time just kind of just on the fringe of any action.
Mm-hmm.
And part of it also is I know that they've been talking about trying to be an open man and give space and trying to drill that into them in preparation for getting into this next level. And I do think some of it is him legitimately trying to do that. But at the same time, there are a lot of times where it's more like he doesn't want to commit to getting in there either. And I can't tell if it's a timidity type of thing, or maybe he's gotten kicked a couple of times and doesn't want to do it anymore, or what. And then all of a sudden, for a quarter, he'll play like I expect him to. And so I don't know. We'll see. I want to get to a point where I have the conversation before the next season of, is this something you really want to do, or is this, are you only wanting to do it because you want to go see this 4 kids that you want to play with?
Yeah. I mean, at that point, you just do a play date.
Yeah. Let them come out here, and we've got a big enough yard, they can play soccer in our yard.
Yeah. I told Luke got to watching Jude, and he's like, I want to play too. And I was like, great. I would love it if you played. That's like, before you were even born, I was already planning, your soccer career. And he laughed at me, but I told him, I was like, I know how to play. Like, I know how to play really well, and if you listen to me, I can teach you some stuff. And Jude's had some difficulty with where he should be and what he should be doing, just theoretically, and in the position that he was inside. He was playing inside right midfielder, and I saw him all over the place, definitely in the wrong position. And after the game Sunday, I sat down, drew a pitch on a piece of paper, and said, "Here's who you are." He told me the format they had. I think they're playing 1 up top, 4. They're doing 1-4. 1-4-4. No, because they don't have 11 players. They have 9. So 1-4-3, I think, because they do 8 and a keeper, and I just, like I said, just drew it and told him, I was gave him a bunch, few different scenarios of here's where the ball is, and moving around, and then I was like, don't take my word for it, and because I gave him a pretty in-depth one, and then because I had remembered this video of Thierry Henry talking about Pep Guardiola's his plan, and he basically said the exact same thing I said. Because he even Henry talked, because this is when Henry was toward the end of his career, when he went between Arsenal and the Red Bulls in New York. He played Barcelona for Guardiola, and Guardiola was basically like, if I put you on the left side, you stay on the left side. Don't ever go to the right side. And so he was on the left side. He went over to the right side, scored a goal, and then Guardiola took him out of the match. Took him out. And he was like, okay. But he was talking about it in a way Guardiola knows what he's talking about. He's not he's not an idiot, and he just sort of, I think when I showed them that video, they're like, okay, Dad does know what he was talking about. Because Luke's getting to be the age where he's like, parents are stupid.
So you think he knows everything, or is it just parents are stupid?
He just don't want to listen. It was getting kind of dicey for a few months, but it seems like he's starting to chill out. And I think, part of it is I tried to back off, and also just, I think we had a few good conversations, and that helped out, but I did not like that. It was not fun.
Yeah, I'm sure I will experience it at some point.
I remember being the same way, I think. I was how were you when you were that age? Did you get really...
I don't remember getting necessarily confrontational. I remember I was a sneaky bastard, and that's really what it comes down to. Like I would do whatever I felt like doing and try to cover my tracks or make it look like it was one of my siblings or whatever. Like I didn't engage a whole lot as far as arguing that I remember, even though I'm sure I did. It just doesn't, it's not something that comes to mind. I know that I purposefully avoided conversations with my mom more than conversations with my dad because I could ask why and actually have a reason provided when I talked to dad. Whereas if I asked why, I would get because I said so when I talked to mom. And I stop myself every time I say it to Jacob because I don't want to recreate that. So it has influenced things where we've had a number of times where I've responded, in that kind of way, and then go back a little bit later and say, I want to go further into this. I don't want it to be just because I said so. There will be things that you have to do because I say to do them. But I don't want you to think that I'm always just saying because I said so.
Yeah, I've had that conversation with my kids, and I still catch myself saying the wrong thing. I still catch myself saying because I said so.
It's tough to get out of because, a lot of times I'm in a position of authority and I'm responsible for you and I'm telling you to do it, and that's all the justification that's necessary. But
or even just like, because it's like you probably actually, sometimes it's like you actually already know. I don't know why you're questioning me, and I know it's or you're questioning me just because you don't want to go do it right now. And there's this dynamic that exists where like I tell them to go do a thing, and then I tell them, you tell them like 10 times or whatever. No, not 10 times. I've never gotten that far.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
But you've said it more than once, and I'm like, you're in a place where you, at this point, I say we got to go, in, I don't know, however many minutes. Like, here's a really good example. They're playing video games. Great, fun. I like playing video games as a kid. They like playing video games. That's fun. But it's like, all right, I need you to stop. And you know what? Here's the thing. I've played their games too. Like, I know what they're doing, and I know they're like, and in the middle of something, I can't stop. And I'm like, yes, you can. You can save it. The Nintendo Switch is such that you can put it to sleep no matter where you are, and you will pick back up as long as nobody goes in and shuts it, turns it off, or, closes the application, closes the game. You can pick right back up. So, like, I know that. And so they try to pull that bullshit on me, and I'm like, no. And then they're like, I'm in the middle of a cutscene. I was like, you can put it to sleep and it will pick back up. And so it doesn't help them that I know, but I'm just like, I want you to stop. So then I have to come up with, so like when they don't do that and then like it becomes problematic, then I'm like, all right, I tell them like 10 minutes before I want them to stop so that they have time to, do the thing, like where it doesn't become like, no, I know how it works. You can, like I don't have to go through that. I can just like, I need you to turn everything off now. And then they'd spend the next 5 minutes turning everything off, and then it's off. And then they're like, why'd you tell me to turn it off? Because we have 5 more minutes before whatever it is that we're doing. And I was like, it's like, you can't win.
Yeah. We've had a recent fairly consistent issue with just completing tasks, like the bedtime routine. And finally got to a point where I actually put together a schedule starting this week. And said, up to this point, these are just rough guidelines. Like when you get home from school, homework's first thing, and you got about a 30-minute window. And I don't care if it takes longer. At this age, if it takes you 30 minutes, something's kind of wrong, or you're just dragging it out, and so like that, it's not like that's a hard time and he has to hit it. It's just, it's an example, of where it falls. So there are a couple of things like that on there. And then, then we get to a point where it's okay. And then from this point to here, I expect these things to occur within these time frames. And this is the time that you have to be in bed, not getting ready for bed, not walking to bed, in the bed. And if you're not, you lose your bedtime privileges, the story and song and everything else that we do just from an enjoyment perspective once he's in bed. And so far that has worked well, but it's annoying to have to go back to that after it hasn't been an issue for so long. And part of me thinks that because of the moving and having the disruption to routines and everything, part of me thinks that we kind of created this problem for ourselves because we disrupted the routine. But at the same time, thinking back, we were kind of getting lax about it before too. And so it prompted a conversation where I told Emily, I don't like always being the bad guy in this situation and taking things away. I need you to also not say, if it slips a minute or two, that's fine. It's hard on this time or you lose things. And so we'll see how that goes. But he hasn't had any screen time in like 3 months because he can't stay on task and complete things.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I feel like there's like a time frame where it's like maybe like being just really, I don't know. I feel like 3 weeks is like giving no space, or just like, I know what I'm trying to say, but I don't know how to articulate it. But other than saying hard ass, but that doesn't really capture what I'm trying to say. It's more nuanced than being a hard ass, but I don't know.
Well, there's a certain point where you're just the bad cop, or at least that's kind of what it feels like.
I guess when at what age is it? What age should I be expecting my child to be capable of appropriate time management?
I think it's even more nuanced than time management. I think this is the task you're supposed to be doing. Complete this task. If it's cleaning up, don't clean up and also go brush teeth or stand in the kitchen and talk or whatever. All these other activities. You do this one thing. If you get distracted after this thing is over, that's fine. We'll reset and push you appropriately. But it would be 15 minutes trying to just get him to go up and change into pajamas and brush teeth kind of thing. It was weird, actually, because it was like he would find everything possible to do other than that thing that he was supposed to do. And it seems to be common enough. I mean, it's memeified. So it's got to be a relatively common thing that almost everybody deals with. It's just...
No, I definitely do.
How... For everybody dealing with it, I've never seen anyone outline an approach that actually works to address it.
I guess it's one of those things where, their brains aren't anywhere near being fully developed, and that might be part of it.
I'm sure it's a combination of that and a combination of still not really being able to identify emotions, and emotions can feel overwhelming at that point still, pretty easily, pretty regularly. And so I have no doubt all of that plays a role. I think where we shot ourselves in the foot a bit is we had a system in place for chores and some specific things that he had to do, and all of that's kind of gone out the window. Partially because of the move, partially because of some other things leading up to the move. It's been, for the better part of the past year, there's been a significant disruption to what we had established as a pretty consistent routine. And so I think part of it is we did it to ourselves by not fixing that when we needed to, because we got to a point where he wasn't volunteering to do chores. So generally speaking, he has certain things that he's responsible for, which is mostly just keeping his stuff, clean, put away, that kind of thing. But we had created a chore chart where he could do a certain number of chores and earn an allowance. And we think the biggest thing with it is he's still not good at delayed gratification in any way. Which is to be expected. Like, I'm not knocking that at all. But because of that, and because not necessarily seeing the benefit of it being delayed, it was difficult, I think, for him to comprehend doing one or two things daily versus not doing anything for the first couple of days, and then he'd have to do what felt like an insurmountable hurdle to catch up and get allowance for the week, and so he just wouldn't do anything and just not get the allowance. And so we even talked about how we would overcome that, and what we could do where instead of doing an overall weekly allowance and by a number of chores, we'd have the same chores, but for every chore he did, he'd earn 10 cents or whatever, and then it would be paid out on a weekly basis. And so it was kind of a combination of the two, and then we just never implemented it. And then it continued to not implement it and have the slipping of times and all, and getting things on time with the bedtime routine and everything else, and just compounding effects where we had this structure and then slowly structure unraveled and we moved. And so now everything's different and that structure's not there.
Yeah, I get that. You just, it'll take time to build it back up, and he's also growing, getting older and changing, and so it's all tricky.
Yeah. And he is aware of, overall the issue. Like it's not that he doesn't comprehend that he currently has a problem staying on task and getting done on time. It's just up until a couple of days ago, we still didn't have anything for him to be able to visually see how it would flow. Yeah. And I tend to forget about that helping to solidify abstract concepts at that young of an age. Because, we don't talk to him like a kid. We talk to him just like you and I are talking, normal conversation. Right. And he understands the conversation, and he asks good, intelligent questions and everything else. And so it's easy to forget that, yes, even though he's more than capable with that regard, there are still these very complex seeming things that really need a visual component for him to be able to either remember or solidify with a routine or whatever. And so it was Sunday night, actually. So 2 days ago as we record, that we had it came to a head. And it was like, it's 9:15 and he's supposed to be in bed by 8. And, we're closing it on 9:30, I think. Either way, it's very, very late. And none of it was anything but was stuff that he was drawing out, trying to, I guess, just take as much time as he could. But it was also the kind of thing where it's like complaining about being tired and not wanting to move. The whole, we've passed this point where there is a certain level of tiredness that now is going to make everything take 4 times as long. That point, every parent knows it.
Oh my God.
And so at that night, we didn't do a good job of communicating. We both took things away and exacerbated the problem for ourselves as well. And so after all of that, before he actually went to sleep, I went back up there and said, okay, look, this is the problem. And I explained, the problem, explained why an hour and a half later was such a big deal than it should be. And so I asked him, which would you prefer? Would you prefer a actual visible schedule that you can have in a reference and make sure you hit? Or would you prefer just a list of things that have to be done and a time that you have to be in bed, or just kind of what would work? What do you feel would work best for you? And that's when he said he wanted the schedule. And said, okay, we'll figure it out this evening and make sure we have it for you tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. And so has that been working out? Or because it was Sunday night, right?
Yeah. So the past 2 nights he's been on time. We've still had to kind of remind him to pay attention to time, but I expect that for a couple of weeks until it kind of settles in. But there haven't been any complaints. He's been doing fine with it. So, yeah.
That's good. Good.
And I also told him, I said, look, I know it's difficult to get into a routine. So the whole point of why he lost any screen time privileges was because he couldn't stay on task and do things within a certain time frame. And so he actually came to me after we gave him the schedule and asked if I am good and have everything on time for a week, can I get a little bit of screen time back? Mm-hmm. And I said, well, I actually, if you just show me the first couple of days that you're sticking to it, I will introduce very limited screen time a little early on. And you show me that you can handle that and still consistently go through this, and then yes, you can have screen time back. And I don't think the screen time piece is as much the driver of what he wants as much as it is that's how he knows he's doing what's expected.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. He's looking for the validation that he's doing the right thing. Right.
Especially since, and I've told him plenty of times, look, I've said, I try to remind myself to say, when I'm proud of what you're doing or when I like the job you're doing, I'm not good at it. I'm going to continue to work on it. And if you need to hear me say something, I just want you to ask, am I doing something right? Or am I... does this look good, or whatever it is that you're curious about, because that's part of how I also learn and remember to do this thing. And it's trying to help set a better example than I had for verbal validation.
We have a number of different ways set up for you to get in touch with us to provide feedback, ask questions, or just comment in about something we've discussed.
You can hit us up on Twitter or Instagram at untitled_hosts, or shoot an email over to untitled.hosts@gmail.com.
Or get in touch directly with Jesse at jthart.com, or get in touch with me, John, via telepathy.
If you would like to support our work or are interested in listening to our new after show feed, head over to patreon.com/theUntitledPodcast and take a look at the options we have set up.
Thank you for listening.
We hope you've enjoyed the show.
And we hope to connect with more of you as we continue this journey.
That's a wrap. Ended up being a very parent-heavy episode so far.
Yeah, it did.
Thinking about that. Sometimes that's why the random conversations are fun. One quick bit of housekeeping, and I'll leave this in the show. Do I need to worry about going back and bleeping out names?
No, not for me.
Okay. I'm not concerned about it either. I just know that we kind of both go back and forth a little bit, trying to walk the line on how much to say, just for the whole privacy standpoint.
No, we're good. I think it's normal parent stuff. So
yeah. I just realized I didn't ask beforehand and figured I should double check. I have an interesting side story that's completely unrelated.
Let's hear it.
I think it was also Sunday night, actually. I somehow or another managed to slice open not my little toe, but what I would call the ring finger toe, the one beside it.
Yeah.
Never felt it. I was sitting at the table. We were eating dinner, and I thought I dropped a piece of food or something, and then, because I stepped on something that was kind of sticky, and I looked down, and there's a puddle of blood.
Oh, gosh.
And it was just from one slice on the toe. And it had stopped bleeding by the time I even knew I was bleeding. So...
and no idea how you did it?
No idea whatsoever. The working theory at this point is that somehow I stacked my feet in a way that an edge of a toenail maybe sliced it open. But I find that highly unlikely. I think more than likely I sliced it open on the patio because I was outside before dinner and just didn't feel it because whatever it was just sharp enough and just at the right angle that I didn't notice it. And then it was a thin enough cut, like a paper cut, that it didn't actually start bleeding until I was sitting at the table and putting pressure on the toe.
I see.
That's my thought. But it was strange. And then, went and cleaned up and put a Band-Aid on and haven't noticed any blood in the Band-Aid. I've still been wearing one because I don't know how deep the cut is.
Right.
So I change it each day and still don't see anything. Went to class the other day, definitely not being gentle on the toe. No blood after that. So,
oh, that's good.
Strange.
That's a good sign.
Just a strange thing all the way around.
I back in August when I went to California, I told you I went to the Peak Design store. I got the mobile tripod, and I've been using it like as a like when I fly on an airplane, I actually use it. I've been using it to as a hands-free device, so I don't have to hold my phone, like sitting there watching a movie or whatever on the plane.
Yeah.
And so I took it with me on this last trip and proceeded to leave it in the hotel room. So
oh, no.
I no longer have I called the hotel and they're like, yeah, we didn't see it. And I'm like, okay. So I actually really like it. And but I guess I'm going to get another one. I might order another one and the mobile creator kit. That's a really cool thing. I've been interested in it since you've mentioned it. Ooh, this is nice.
Yeah, I still haven't used it. I need to get on the ball on recording some B-roll and all and getting ready to go because I've mentioned in multiple places that I want to launch this year, and even officially have it on the Instagram page for the project, and so I've got to get going on that. I have so much stuff to use for it too. It's funny. I've got a motorized slider that I can put the camera on. It doesn't have a long track, but for those tracking kind of moving dolly shots.
Mm-hmm.
That was a crowdfunding project as well. So much stuff that I've accumulated that I need to finally get using now that I have both some space to do it and actually get some other things done around that.